Hello, my enlightened ones. Welcome back to the channel. I have Sarah Sinister tagging along tonight, my daughter.
And the book we picked up at the dollar store, if you guys watched our video on Sinister Streams.
Yes. So we're going to wait just a few minutes to see if some stragglers come on in. But if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. And I hope you like it and subscribe so I can get more content out there so other people can join us. And
We're
yes.
rocking cool
So,
coffees.
take this few minutes now and go get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or cocoa in Sarah's case because she's a wuss. And
Paper bags.
that's right. Tissue paper and a paper bag, and we're going to be rocking and rolling here in a minute. I just want to say hello to people here. We have Julie. Hi, Julie. And Kenneth. God love you, Kenneth. We have Jasmine, of course. And Shanunu. Shane's here with us.
Oh,
That
Shane?
is Past Paranormal Pics. That's Shane down at the bottom
Shane.
there. Hi, Shane. Got Kara. I don't know if she's back. Hi, Kara. Welcome back. So we got Karen here. Hey, Enlightenment in the Darkness. Oh, wait, that's me. And who else we got? I think that's it. Okay. I'll kick Mike's butt later. And Penny, I'm hoping, is going to join us here shortly. So anyway, so this is going to be a really fun night, guys.
And also for those of you who actually don't have the tools to join in right now, you guys can
watch this later and recreate anything you see here. We're just going to be hanging out and trying to convert these books into Book of Shadows that we can start building together with you guys.
Hey, Natalie, Whispers in the Realm of Darkness.
Welcome. Hi. So anyway, so basically, I'm going to discuss basically what a Book of Shadows is, but I'm going to be redoing my cover tonight. This book is over 20-something years old.
Oh, real quick before we get involved.
Yes.
Sound check. Can you guys hear us?
Can you hear us okay?
We can swap between the two microphones, and we want to know if this one's loud enough. Let us know if the music's interfering. Penny and I are ready to go with our books and Mod Pod.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right. You get gold stars again for today, and
right.
Anybody else who's ready to rock and
So
roll.
just give us a sound check. We
Yes,
sound great.
right.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're
Continue.
good. Okay, so now I'm going to jump over to my banner screen here. Yes. Okay, here we go. So first of all, a Book of Shadows. In case you don't know, in the olden days, in the days of the witch trials and all these lovely things, women used to write down recipes for healing people, such as soups and herbal medicines. Is what's it called? Hedge witch, which is what I am. I'm a hedge witch. I work with herbs and make soups and put love into everything. But anyway, so it's called the Book of Shadows because back in the day, they had to hide it in the shadows. And a cloak that they wore also helped hide them in the darkness. That's why it's called a cloak. Okay. So these are pagan terms or Wiccan terms. So basically the Book of Shadows. Okay. So let's discuss what the Book of Shadows is. The Book of Shadows is a book containing religious text and instructions for magical rituals found within the neo-pagan religion of Wicca. I believe this dates back to 1770. The Grimoire, which is another name for the Book of Shadows, is a grimoire. And it was created by a man, and I forgot his name, and I feel bad. But anyway, he did create this, and he created Wicca, and that's how it kind of got started. But the Book of Shadows itself actually predates him, and I believe that was 1770. I believe that's when that was. So it is a book where all one's personal spells, recipes, it's a literal book of spells that people could cast in order to achieve results such as healing, love, luck, abundance, and so forth. So basically that's what a Book of Shadows is. Okay. So tonight.
Where's mine? Oh, mine's over there.
Yeah, yours is on the
We'll have to grab that.
Yeah. So basically, This is my Book of Shadows. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we are going to be working on the cover tonight. I did have a spider on there, and I scraped his little legs as good as I could, but that's not even going to show when I'm done with this. So that's going to work perfectly.
And then we're going to be doing this one as well.
And this is Sarah's sad little book.
We went to the dollar store. You guys came with us if you watched our video.
So Sarah's got to remove her lovely...
Can I go back to the comments?
Yes,
The comments?
please check out the comments. Yes, I'm all done with that. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So,
All right, we can see what you guys are saying now. So we're going to convert this dollar store journal we picked up. It's just a journal we picked up at the dollar store. For those of you who didn't watch the video, Shane and I went with Kat and we found the ugliest one I could find, although it's quite pretty. And we're going to try to make this look like leather.
okay, so what we're going to do is you need either one piece of tissue paper or one store paper bag. If you're doing the bag technique, Sarah's going to take it now. And the best thing to do, you want to crinkle it really good. So if you can like just maybe rip it in like a couple of big pieces and just crinkle it really good. This is what's going to give the leather look. And I'll show you if you can hear me that one. Okay, this is actually a real spell book. But if you notice, this is the paper bag technique on here. But you can see how it all looks kind of like leather. I even now see, I think I skimped out on the back. Yeah, I think I skimped out on the back. I think it's just tissue, kind of like a tissue paper on the back. But anyway, but this is actually a real spell book, as you can see. But anyway, but so this is done with the paper bag. Now, if you can give me this book. Now, this book I did, and this is what the tissue paper looks like. Isn't that beautiful? It actually looks like a leather book. And I did it to the side as well as the back. But you can see, depending on what paint, sorry, I'm trying not to get a glare here. Depending on what paint you
You
use,
can turn the light off if you have to.
that spells art. So anyway, but this is done. This is the tissue paper technique. So this, in fact, this whole book is tissue paper. It's one of my crafts that I love to do. So, okay. So basically, you're going to need Mod Podge. The camera's too bright.
Can we put both cameras in now too, so that
Yeah.
way it's further away?
Let's do that. Let's.
Sarah's doing so she's not half time at the Miller's here.
Yes.
Paintbrush. All of a sudden it's getting warm in here.
Oh, and you can pull up the place up so that we can show off
Oh.
the different tools we have.
Okay, so
Yeah. Let's Sarah explain that.
So I grabbed a couple of things that I use.
oh wait, before we start that, do the pages of your book.
Yes.
So I can get
This
that
is just
drawing.
showing some ideas of things that we gathered. When I decide to do a craft like a Book of Shadows, I just go around the house and be like, oh, this might be cool. This might be cool. So this is stuff that I would use in other projects. You do not have to have this stuff. This is just something extra that I grabbed for us to be able to use to make our books really cool. But I found these like things that Mom actually had for like scrapbooking. They're little mirrors that are actually in the shapes of butterflies. And they just stick on, but you could actually build up around them and play and make like a little scrying mirror on the front of your book or something
That's a great idea.
with mushrooms.
That's why she's here.
I had a bag of colorful crystals, so if you wanted to do those coming out of clay.
Nice.
I also had some weird gears for steampunk.
Oh
look.
yeah. So the steampunk look here. I don't know if you guys
Take one out.
Let me see. All right. So
They're like gears. Yeah, they can see the shape of it.
there you go.
There we go. I got it now.
Yeah.
All right. So gears, gear head.
And show them our molds.
Oh, these are awesome molds. Sarah.
You might have to turn the light.
Yeah. There we go. Now let me see that better. So Sarah, these are keys, key locks, or keyholes,
And keys.
and keys. If you
As well as
and skulls. So, and these are keys here. So you can actually do molds, and it only takes what, $2.75 in the oven for what, 5?
10 minutes, I would say,
Yeah, 5 to
depending
10
on
minutes.
the size.
Yeah, I think it's like
You gotta watch them carefully.
5 minutes per quarter inch or something
Right.
like that.
And then this color.
And of course, Mr. Spelling.
If you want to put a skull on the front of your book. So these are things that you can make out of clay. You just go and you buy a block of clay, like the Sculpey clay, such as this. I think you can also use air dry clay, but I prefer the oven baked Sculpey clay that you can get at you can even get the white kind at Walmart, but I prefer to use the black because then you take an eyeshadow over it like a gold or a shimmer.
Yeah, she actually uses makeup to make it shine. And stuff.
You can use mica powders or pastel charcoals or whatever
charcoal, yeah.
to give that two-toned look. So I prefer using like a black or a brown as my solid color. So we're gonna, I think, put little key lock looking things. They won't really work, but they'll look really pretty.
Well, if you give me back this book here, this is all clay work here, on here. But another thing that you can do too is just taking, like, for the stitches and stuff, this actually, right here, that looks like the raised skin, I did this with a glue gun, people. This is crazy. I just went in with the glue gun and just went crazy with the lines and wherever. The stitches are real stitches. I just take some jute string and pull it apart and just cut the side stitches that you want and I just take the Mod Podge. Mod Podge is awesome.
You can do a lot with the tissue paper as well because it shreds and you can ball it up and actually make little lines.
Let's see, again, this is clay. Sarah made this with clay too, which is it's a little planchette hanging off the side of my book here, but it's just really, there's no limit to this. Putting herbs in your books. In fact, I'll show you what I want to do tonight. Is we want to do the covers of the books, but I also too want to show you. I always consecrate my books. You always want to bless and consecrate anything that you are intending to use for magic or intent with bringing prosperity and abundance into your life. You always want to bless it because when you bless it, you're preventing things from going wrong and going haywire. So why not bless your book? This is where you're going to keep your most prized things in here. I'll show you my most prized thing in here. Look at this. This is kind of cool. I even have a little Ouija board at the back of my book, and it works. So, I mean, there's no limit to what you can do.
That is neat.
So, in fact, I also, this is awesome, for your pendulum, your pendulum as well. And, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But the biggest thing in the beginning of the book is you definitely want to bless or consecrate the book. And the second thing, which I hope we get to tonight, is the Wiccan Read. And the dedication, what it means. So
anyway. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually work on this book. We're going to weather the pages.
Same with the tissue paper, guys. You got to crunch that up if you're using tissue paper because that's what gives the leathery look.
We're going to weather the pages from the journal from the dollar store because it looks so new and it's kind of, crappy looking.
You guys can see the pages of my book. They're kind of... And the easiest way to do this is coffee and water. You can use tea, of course. I prefer the coffee because the coffee it's more intense than the tea is. Hi, Natalie.
So I'm essentially just kind of gonna give them a little bit of a spritz here with the coffee to give it a little bit of an unclean, I don't know. And then after we do that, we're gonna go in and we're gonna.
Oh, you need stickers in here. Yeah, rip the stickers out. We don't need stickers. Not these stickers. They're not witchy enough.
Okay. Get the stickers out of the book. No stickers. So without tearing the paper, because when you wet the paper, it loses its integrity, right? So you just want to kind of crinkle the ends, and it's okay if they get kind of messed up. and just go through the book and spray it with your coffee or tea mixture. You can just wet and do this from a bowl and damp and dab like this.
Yeah,
Okay?
the easiest way too is just
To
wet
have
it
you do
and
that
just go
after.
around the edging on the book. Mine's really fat now because I got so much stuff in the book, but that's why you do it in the beginning.
And essentially, we're just going to get to the book here, get it all wet, and then we're going to blow dry the book real fast. And then we're going to be able to start the cover.
I
But
think you're getting more coffee on me and
Now-
on the table.
I'm done. Now, the reason why we're doing this first is because if you're using the Mod Podge that's not waterproof, you don't want to ruin your work at the end by having to do this part of the pages. And when we go to write on the pages, you want them completely dry. So you want to do this as your first step, right? Okay. I'm going to continue doing this while you continue on with
Okay.
whatever you want.
So I don't know how many people of you have the tissue paper. One other thing that you may want to grab is something to elevate your book a little bit. And what I mean by this is with the tissue paper, it's easier to lay the book over the bottle. So that way it's kind of elevated a little bit.
More stickers.
Now, there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can lay the tissue paper on the table and you can draw around it where you want to cut it first. I prefer actually gluing the whole thing on the book first, and then I'll show you it. It's cool little. You still getting me wet. I know. And I'll show you a technique on how to get it off without having to cut it so much crochet.
In fact, I just let these air dry, even though you would normally blow dry it. I'd probably just close it.
Okay, so I got my Mod Podge here. Oh, can you give me that jar over there? That's actually Mod Podge. This one's not open yet. Is that- Okay. So I need to throw. And if you want gloves, you can wear gloves to do this, but I don't think I like peeling it. No. In fact, I got some on my fingers now. So basically you want to start, find the middle point on the tissue paper. Okay. And then just do the spine of the book. It's the first thing you want to do is the spine of the book with the tissue paper. And the reason why I do this is because if you notice that when the book, it has like creases around the binding on it. Now this is very crucial. You don't want to drag and paint. You want to dab, okay? Because if you drag, you're going to rip the paper, okay? You always need to make sure there's a lot of Mod Podge on your brush or you will rip the paper. Okay, so now I'm working it actually into the crevice that's on the book. Don't worry about if there's bubbles. That's what you want. You want the bubbles. We're going to work those out in a minute. But again, you want to dab, not drag the brush. So I'm going to finish. Get into the creases, and this is the reason why I always start at the binding, because right now I want to make sure that when I close my book, I'm not going to rip it. So by starting at the binding, there, see, I can close my book and it's not ripping. As long as I can do that, I'm good. That's why I like the water bottle, because it doesn't lift it up way too much off the table. Now at this point, you can just go to town. Putting it, the Mod Podge everywhere. Just a thin, it doesn't have to be real heavy duty coat or anything. Just as long as you've covered the book everywhere. And what I love about the Mod Podge too is that it dries relatively quickly. We are going to have the hair dryer out here. Do you need a brush? There you go. Yeah.
Show them the edge of the book, how it's.
So now you can see the edge of the Sarah's book, and that she's kind of weathered it a little bit. but she now can actually start to work on the outer part of it.
But the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this like weird thing they've
Bookmark.
got going on.
Yeah.
It, because it's going into the back of the book.
Like a built-in bookmark.
It's no, I like the built-in ribbon, but this one goes into it.
Yeah, I see
So
that.
I
Yeah,
gotta-
you need to
I gotta
cut it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut it because they glued it in. So we're just gonna have to cut it.
Okay, so now when you go to lay down the paper, seriously, don't be neat about it. Just take your hands and lightly
I like the
tap
wrinkles.
it because you're creating the wrinkles. Do you see all the wrinkles here? This is what's going to give me my leather look. So don't worry about the bubbles. And if you're worried about the bubbles too, another thing that you can do is just go around and tap them down with the brush because you get enough glue underneath there. You can move it around. I actually like using my hand, but be very careful because if you have glue on your fingers and you grab the dry part of the tissue paper, again, you will rip it. And don't worry if you do rip it. That's not a big deal because I promise you it's not even going to show in the end anyway. What I usually do is if I accidentally do rip it, you just take some more glue and take a little piece of tissue paper and put it over the spot.
Make a patch.
Exactly. And I promise you it doesn't show in the end. It absolutely does not show in the end.
Trying to get the bottom of the bag.
Okay, so I have that side done. So now I'm going to go and Mod Podge my other side. When we go to cut the excess off the tissue paper, it's different on the paper bag. This paper bag we're doing hippie bits. But on the tissue paper, I always leave a little extra because I tuck it on the inside of a book. And I glue it on the inside, and that way it's more durable. So that way you're not hitting the edge of the book and the paper's just coming off. It's giving that little bit of extra durability to really preserve that. And if you don't like the looks of it on the inside either, I mean, just cut it. You can always make an insert page, which is usually what I do to put over, so you can't even see it. Just use like a beautiful piece of paper that, maybe something from Michael's or some craft store that has beautiful print or something on it that you like, or foliage or whatever. But there's always ways to hide things. Okay, so again, here we go. I'm just going to slap this paper down willy-nilly. That was really okay. So again, I want to go back and just make sure that I have it into the crevices. I got a little bubble going on here, so I want to kind of do that. As long as you have extra Mod Podge on your brush, you can slightly drag the brush a little bit to get out the bubbles and so forth. By going over it again, paint the top of it after, even with the bubbles still there. It will all work its way out as you start painting it. And if it's wrinkled, that's what you want. So it's a win-win situation here, people. So
And when this hardens, it gets really hard, so it'll hold everything in place.
I actually Mod Podged the book. I took a book and I Mod Podged all the pages together. And the book is wood.
Look at the box.
It's a box now. You can't even tell that it was pages of it, and you can kind of see the pages, but it's crazy. It's insane. But, all right, so what I'm doing is I'm going over, I'm getting out any air bubbles. There's no right way and there's no wrong way to do this. This is like, you can't screw this up. Even if you rip the paper, you can't screw it up because you just make paths for yourself. So, okay, I'm going to show you mine now. So this is pretty well all set to just be set off to dry. Can you see all the wrinkles and all the lovely ooginess going on here? All right. So at this point, while I'm waiting for this to dry, I want to do like probably, give it about a good inch overhang or slack, because that is, except when you get to the binding, and I'm going to show you how to deal with the binding. Usually there's a space between the binding of the book. There's like a hollow spot, and you can actually glue it and tuck it right in behind there, and it looks so professional and so nicely done. So that's really cool. Okay, I'm going to help Sarah get going. I have why don't you start on your Rippy bits? So basically,
I'm just trying not to do it over you talking.
I'm going to stop talking. Okay, so Sarah's going to start doing her Rippy bits here. She's going to rip this.
But I get it all crinkled so that it, and I got the bottom, the thick part taken off. And essentially, you want like patchwork pieces that you're just kind of.
If there's any writing on the bag, if you're doing a dark color, it doesn't matter. It's not going to show. You're going to paint over it. But basically, you don't want any.
I ripped the all over
The straighter edges I definitely use for the side of the book. I'm going to move my book out of the way. Right. Okay, so let me move this over here.
So just be careful because all the pages are either really delicate, trying to hang the page inside. So, like, you can literally just save scraps of paper. You can use tissue paper. You can even go out and save leaves from outside, dry leaves, and use dry leaves and create a cover out of dry leaves because the Mod Podge will bind it all together and create a hard shell over those leaves. Just make sure that there's no moisture left in the leaves so you're not trapping in moisture and don't create mold.
But again, I mean, if you look at this book here, this book that I created is actually 3D. I don't know if you can actually see the muscle over here. Where is it? Okay, right here. So you can actually see the muscle over here on top. But anyway, but this is just all tissue paper. Look how hard this is. It's amazing. It's so hard.
Okay, Rippy bit.
Rippy bits are done. Okay. All right, so this is Sarah. Sarah, why don't you come over here?
Oh no, you sit there.
Okay.
I like giving it for this time. We can do it together.
Okay. Look at this. I have graveyard
Like I
dirt
said,
all
just
over
be
my.
gentle on the pages because I did
Yeah.
it wrong.
So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna arch that book. It just makes it easier. So basically, with this, I won't do the whole cover at one point. You can, but I usually do it in sections because you're working with sections. So I want to try to find a piece that's kind of straight on the edge, but I want to overhang it a little bit. That way Sarah can tuck it in underneath. And I know it looks like it's not gonna, but once you start smacking it down with the Mod Podge, it will start to really adhere to it.
You're just gonna really.
Yeah, you just gotta really saturate
Paper
it.
is gonna have time to absorb it because it's gonna be resistant at first. You gotta give it time to get into the fibers of the actual paper, and it'll make almost like a paper mache kind
Yeah,
of.
that's exactly what
It's
you're basically
essentially
doing.
paper mache.
So what I'm gonna do is I leave the overhang a little bit over here for Sarah. She can either tuck it in under, because we're gonna do that later. Once the cover dries, you can see now this is pretty flat. See how flat that is, other than what I have hanging underneath, which I'm gonna take care of after. But so when you put enough on there, okay,
But you don't want to saturate the other side because you don't want to glue it to your pages. So you have to wait and do that step once you can turn it over to be able to do that without gluing the pages.
to be honest with you guys, between these two methods, I like the way that the grocery bag looks, but I like the simplicity of the tissue paper.
Yeah,
It
the
is
tissue paper
so
is
much
It
easier to
absorbs it
work
easier.
with. It's very fast. It's very quick. My book is a lot bigger than Sarah's, and it's, you know.
Yeah, this is going to take a little while.
Right. Now, as far as, there's two things that you can do here on this part here. On
I
this
say put tissue paper.
spine. I was just going to say, the best and easiest thing to do is just put tissue paper on the spine. And if you don't have tissue paper, you actually
Toilet
can use
paper.
toilet paper. Just gonna say that. All right, so I'm basically just going down the spine on here, and it's giving me that beautiful.
That's awesome, Natalie. I hope that we get to see your
Oh, bye,
creations.
Kenneth. I'm sorry.
Bye,
I
Kenneth.
missed
We
you.
didn't see you. We didn't see you. Good night.
Thanks for joining.
We're trying to keep an eye on what we're doing as well as the Chat Guys' card. We want to use these books throughout our months of building Book of Shadows, so hopefully you guys will be able to, if not doing it now, maybe before we do our next investigation, our next class with Book of Shadows. Maybe you guys will have created one to start working in. So either way, whether you're creating with us tonight or just hanging out and gonna get one for you to work in, it's okay if you want to buy a store-bought one and work in that as well. We just wanted to show a cheaper way, a cheaper option for people who don't want to go out and spend $100 on a nice fancy Book of Shadows.
Again, I'm going in and I'm tapping the tissue. I don't care if the tissue paper comes over here because I'm going to be covering it in paper bag in a minute. It's not even going to show. So,
The tissue paper is just more bendy so that it's not going to cause resistance on the spine as a book. So we think that using the tissue paper on the spine is probably a better option. You can still do this. You just have to be really careful about making sure that you can still.
you just have some space here so I can just tuck it
right
right
in.
in. It's so cool how it goes.
You're essentially making a cover, a permanent cover for the book. You know, so just tuck it into where there's already a crevice or a place for that cover to go.
Like I said, there's usually a little hole. See the hole right here between the spine? You can usually tuck it right into that area. I use the point of the scissors or
I like this because it almost looks like a stitched horror book, like almost like somebody like a
Scarface.
serial killer,
Yeah.
like stitched skin together. You know what I mean? Well, like the Hocus Pocus book.
yeah. I'm gonna take this one.
Yeah.
So, well, here you work on that
Yeah, I was
side and
gonna
I
say,
work on
pull it
this
closer
side.
this
There
way.
you go. That works.
Wow.
Yay.
Double whammy.
Game breakfast here.
Gang booking.
So, other things that you can do too is, believe it or not, you can find stuff online that you can actually print off to put in your book and the Wicked Read.
Utilize what you have, guys. If you have something that you think might be cool, use it.
But they have a new thing where you can actually take a piece of tissue paper, you cut it down to be the regular size of a regular piece of paper, and they're actually running it through. It goes through your printer.
Really?
Yeah, they've been running them through. They thought for sure it'd rip or do something, and people have been doing it. They've been running tissue paper through their printers, which is kind of crazy. So
That would be really cool because then you could put, as long as you're careful and not breaking it, you could essentially use it to. That's really neat. Put images on the front of books. And unbox.
you know, like I'm a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. I absolutely love Edgar Allan Poe. And a lot of the ravens and crows. I love. In fact, I've done a lot of these tissue paper boxes and books with the raven and the crows. Edgar Allan Poe. So anything that tickles your fancy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a Book of Shadows, it doesn't have to have spells. That's what a typical book is. You could just be making a journal right now and just something to jot down recipes in or to share with friends or, you know, just a little diary for
Even
yourself.
vision boards. Things to aspire to, things that you can put in your book, like a page that is your goal or, you know, your intent. We could call it intent pages. You know, anything you wanted to do. It doesn't matter exactly what you're putting in the book to make it a Book of Shadows. It's a collection of whatever you want. And ours happens to have some real spells in it, but it'll also have recipes and poems and things that have meaning to us and important things that we think are important for us to learn or that we have learned that we think is important for future generations if we ever decided to pass the book on to somebody else, you know?
Anything like that.
And what I like about this project too is relatively clean. And the beauty of it is if you get it in your hands, it just
It
peels
peels
right
off
off.
once it dries.
It's water soluble, comes right off. It's not a big deal. The only thing is if you do have nail polish on and you go to pull it, it will pull your nail polish off. See, and this book has that kind of oily.
Yeah,
I'm
it's kind of
saying?
resistant, but
It's a little
still
resistant,
sticking.
but it's still working great. I was worried that it has like a tin foil kind of finish to it. The other thing, don't be afraid too, you know, get your fingers in there. I like to go around when I'm finished with it. See what I'm doing with my fingers? I'm smoothing out. I'm going over where all the seams with my finger because I can feel better than see in my case. But it helps me feel that the seams are down. And you don't fight with this. I mean, you really don't. You don't put the seam down and then look and opens back up again. I very seldom have issues with doing this. This is one of my favorite projects. In fact, I created a lot of Christmas presents last year, making cool, just grabbing a wooden box and painting it and just print off a picture that you like from the internet. Like my son's into Vikings, and I did a Viking one for my son. And it had dragons on it and everything, and it was really cool. And so, but it's just really neat. And what you do is you just keep building, going around the picture. You know, like you go around on a picture and draw the lines. Use the tissue paper as lines. What you do is you get the tissue paper wet. This is how I create these books. I just get the tissue paper wet, and then I twist it. It's crazy. I just twist it. Okay. And then I go around and I use it to, and I glue it down to the lines,
And then you put another piece over it.
Well, once I finish all the outlines, then I take the big piece and I put another whole piece all over it.
And
So it's all sealed.
Those little
Yeah, it's so cool. There isn't any picture you can't do that way.
You can mold it.
It's so much fun.
Cool.
I loved it. In fact, I did so much
You
of
did a
it.
dragon.
I did a dragon. I did,
Really cool.
I did a beautiful
We did
one
that
I can
Alice
show
in
you.
Wonderland
Yes, that's the one I
one.
was just thinking of. I'll show you the Alice in Wonderland one.
All right, I'm going to continue on. Continue on with my ripped flesh leather book of shadows. Ooh. I'm going to make it creepy, I think. I think I'm going to go like creepy gothic horror book of shadows for Halloween. Like almost like stitched, leather face.
So this is the Alice in Wonderland one. This is the key, the keyhole. This is the clay Sarah was telling me about. She made that for Alice in Wonderland. So this is all tissue paper. It's kind of hard to see with the lighting because it's glazed. But it's got the Cheshire Cat and Alice under with the mushroom. She's looking up at the cat. But that was a really, really fun project. And then the Cheshire Cat in the background. This one is my favorite. This one's really gonna. Oh, this one's over the top. This is actually a little voodoo doll I made. This is actually a real pin that's in there, but it's glued in, so you can't pull it out.
Oh my God, it's great.
But this is all Mod Podge and tissue paper. This is insane. Except for the flowers. These, yeah, 1 second. These are actually appliques from my shirts that I had, and I just put tissue paper over it and then paint it. Now watch the side. Look at that. Voodoo. Voodoo.
And they almost look like bones because
Yeah.
you made it rip. You
Yeah.
you balled up tissue paper.
Yeah.
With
I made it
Mod
look like
Podge.
This is actually a doily. This is a doily. Listen how hard.
Nice.
It's hard. It's a rock.
Because the Mod
And this is
Podge.
what's really crazy. I actually make these. It's a little voodoo making kit, but these are for good dolls. These are more healing pockets than doing bad things to people. So these are for making healing pockets. So, but I have them all cut out So all you have to do is just cut them out, and it's got all the thread and the yarn and everything that you need inside. And it actually tells you how to make it on this side. But again, this is on Mod Podge. These are my favorites. These are my favorite things to make. These are Christmas presents for people. It's just so much fun to use this. So there's your imagination is no limit, you know. It's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it. So as you can see, the tissue paper technique is not just
Yeah,
It's therapeutic.
it is very therapeutic. It is.
You put on a TV show or a movie. Put on Halloween movies while you're doing this. It's so much fun. You get lost in it, and it's so stress relieving. Oh my god, I love crafting. And this is going to be so fun because we're going to be able to do this and slowly do pages and fill the book.
As I get closer to the spine, okay, what I want to do is I kind of want to try to find straighter edges because I want it. It's okay. Again, I'm going to do the tapping technique and try to work from that straight corner piece out from the spine, okay? That way when we open and close the book, you're not going to have it, you know, it's not going to sound stiff because you're not creating a resistance by doing it the way that we're doing it. So that's really awesome. Because in fact, my book, you didn't hear any of them crunch, crunch, crunch. What should I do?
blow dryer and or what are we doing?
Are you just going to use another book to explain what you're going to explain while you dry? Or?
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to do.
Okay,
It's
then
gonna,
let these dry.
yeah.
And then we'll pick up next time.
Yeah, but basically what we want to do tonight, though, is if you have any form of oil, this is Egyptian Goddess. This is my favorite. I love this stuff. But it's just so you just bless it, and the nice thing is now you can use it and bless and consecrate your book. I like to use oil in the books. You can use water, less water, and do it if you want to. I prefer the oil because the oil doesn't evaporate and it stays preserved longer. So what I usually do is on the inside of the cover of the book, I bless and consecrate this book. May it, enhance and help all and purify all that it touches. So basically you're making the book so nothing negative can come along and, hey, I want to touch that. I want to screw up your spells or rituals or whatever you're going to be doing. So you can decoupage glass. Absolutely. I have done that. In fact, that doing the tissue paper, I said running it through your printer with a print on it that you like. What they do is they get those, those battery candles that have it's actually coated with real wax on the outside. They take the tissue paper and they just heat it up a little bit and they start tapping the tissue paper, and then you take a hairdryer and it melts. The tissue paper the wax will melt over the tissue paper and preserving the decals, which is really cool how it works. But yes, glass. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, you want to see my grand? Here, I'll show you one huge thing I made, and this is with this technique that we're doing here.
I wanted to look like you.
This will be my Dahmer Book of Shadows.
Oh my god, really?
Oh,
So-
good God.
So this is made with 2 paper bags and cardboard, because of course this is cardboard. And the inside is, I do have it lined, and it is really soft inside. It's flannel, so when you put it on your head, it doesn't hurt. I don't have a place for this damn thing anymore, so. But you can see, I mean, this is the Mod Podge. You can see how hard it is. Even, I mean, look at this. This is a patch they created right here, and you can hear it sounds like plastic. So there isn't anything you cannot do with this technique.
Yeah, the cloth fibers absorb the glue, and then it becomes You can actually use it. You could probably drape it and make goats if you really wanted to.
Ah,
And then when it peels off your fingers, it's satisfying.
you can peel it.
What are you getting now? Show and tell of Pat's projects.
Oh,
Okay.
I
I
don't know
what else to do on this because I can't wrap it yet.
Yeah, I can't wrap.
wrap it yet. What about your box on the table?
You can grab that instead.
I want to wrap it, but I didn't want it to skip my pages. My fingers are sticky.
Okay. It's show and tell time.
Oh, I love the one with the cemetery.
So this is
Tissue paper and water.
this is all tissue paper in Mod Podge. That's what that is. This one, again, tissue paper, Mod Podge. That's what that one is. And this one's my favorite. This one's actually, you can see this sucker's 3/8.
The front, that's my favorite part.
Oh, the front. Oh yeah, I didn't see the front. This is the front of the book. Isn't that cool?
The box, but show them from the side because it's that texture on the buildings.
Yeah, it really does. It's really cool because it's really hard to see, but can you see the buildings are 3D? They pop out. That's all tissue paper. Isn't that insane? It's all tissue paper. That's all it is.
Yeah, you just put the Mod Podge and then you can mold it to whatever shape
I
you want.
did cheat on the body of the spider. This is actually a cotton ball with tissue paper over it. So, but listen, that's as hard as a rock. But this is where I keep my spears. But isn't that cool? That's all Mod Podge. Even the spider web is 3D. Isn't that cool? And then it just spells on the side.
So much you can do just with Mod Podge, tissue paper, and paint. All of those is literally just using cloth fibers, tissue paper, Mod Podge, things we find around the house. Like we don't have any fancy tools for any of this stuff, and we're just having fun.
Yeah, see, look at this. I'm bringing mine back over. I'm just showing you. Mine's basically dry already.
Oh, cool. I can do the other side. Thought it was done.
More.
Nice. Look at see this side's already.
Yeah, Mod Podge.
See this side's already fully coated. Now we gotta let it dry so I can tuck it.
So look at this. This is basically dry. This is dry enough that I can continue on now. I can just flip it over, although the binding's a little bit still gummy. But that's okay. I can still work it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend my pages over. I'm going to actually trim them down more, and the reason why I'm trimming them down more is because I have stuff written on the inside of my book. And I put my glasses somewhere. Oh, I think I could probably put them in the bathroom. Yeah.
Okay, Velma.
I know, I'm so terrible.
Velma.
Just keep me deviating from Velma.
Make fun of me all the time.
Velma's my favorite.
Okay, Daphne.
I'm not that.
No way.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're shaggy.
I'm okay with that.
He has the munchies all the time, too.
I've got glue all over my fingers.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm
Like doing
just,
chin.
I know, it's so much fun. So basically, I'm just trimming down the pages a little bit more because I don't want so much as an overhang. Normally, I would have done that while I thought that this is my book. And I have stuff that's on the inside of the covers, and I don't want to bury it. So I'm just trimming out the extras.
Bottom line, though, with the versatile, you kind of form it around whatever you're working with, whatever book you're covering, whether it's a book that's already made, like some of the projects we did, like the Hocus Pocus book is literally a spell book that the cover was all chewed up by my old dog.
Oh yeah, that's what it was, and that's the reason why I did it. Is because her puppy chewed it to.
Yes. That's your
Tonight's
word of the day. Okay, Velma, you go find your glasses. Yeah, but this is way more fun than covering school books because I just got my hair in Mod Podge. Because we're gonna get to decorate them after they're done. The bosses, you gotta retrace your Velma stuff.
Yeah, okay.
You're looking for clues. I dropped the hairbrush. I mean, this in my hair. I dropped the brush in my hair.
Hairbrush now.
How can you tell?
Sarah lives here? Her hair is everywhere.
Why was that?
So,
So basically, after this stage, and we get it to right now, I'm actually gluing it underneath. So basically, you just put a little Mod Podge down and just with your finger. Then you can go in and don't be afraid. Because the beauty of the Mod Podge, it's white, but it dries clear. So it's not even going to show wherever you left it. So don't even be concerned about that.
can you?
Just see here.
Just
been using the hair dryer quickly. There you go.
there you go.
Perfect.
Sarah,
Sarah can probably use the. Did you finish that?
No, I got the hairbrush. I mean, the brush in my hair.
It's not a hairbrush.
The paintbrush in my hair.
See why I got ponytails tonight? Because I knew my hair would be in a mess too.
but your hair.
it's like Rapunzel, Rapunzel.
Well, look at your hair.
If I hold on to the damn paintbrush.
Well, stop trying to use your hair to hold on
My
to it.
hands like to have a mind of their own. I think they're possessed.
Wow.
So again, I'm just gluing down the sides and I'm wrapping them to the inside.
Is what I'm doing right now.
I do recommend though, if you're going to, because I'm going to close this to get to the other side.
Why did you cross the road?
To cross over.
You get to get inside.
Look at the other side.
I'm feeling the only thing laughing.
I don't know the only one. Care about our jokes, but that's okay.
We're
But the
glad
end of the class will be the only two.
We're the only ones left.
My point is because I'm doing this now, I don't want to just drop it down. I need to put something, then I'm going to use the Mod Podge cover just to separate it.
Right, you don't glue your pages.
I don't want to glue my pages in the book. Alright, again, see how easy that is? All I'm doing is just putting a little Mod Podge on the inside and just dropping it back down. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. If you're overthinking it, you're doing it wrong.
Don't
That's why I love doing this. This is how when we break away from the negative and the stuff that's up in the museum and stuff, this is the stuff that I do. This grounds you, believe it or not. This is a great grounding mechanism right here. Because number one, it's forcing you to be in the moment. Okay? And we're never in the moment. We're always thinking about next week, or we're thinking about the past, and oh, if I just did this, and whatever. This forces you to be in the moment. I know Penny's going to be taking an art class here pretty soon. That's the best thing in the world for her to do. Because it forces her to be in the moment, and it takes your mind off of other stupid things that might be going on in your life that you don't want to be dealing with right now. Living in that moment, we can't do it. I wish you guys, I wish I could see you. You guys are gonna have to send in chat, message in chat. I want to see. So basically, after you've glued this down and you've dried it, okay, and it doesn't take long to dry. Basically, the front and back are dry. It's just the binding, which I did later.
really.
Yeah.
Any parts really have to get it tacked down about most of it. pretty dry pretty quickly.
And
And
I
actually, I think I'm going to be redoing the inside of this cover too.
That's the thing.
Is because
With Mod Podge.
well,
we had a coven, the three of us, my daughters and I,
A long time
a
ago.
long time ago, and then we changed our name a couple of times, and then I got to do pookie.
yeah, look,
See how easy that was? Look, just taking my brush and poke right in. How easy is that?
So
I want to redo the inside of the book.
cover is what I want to do.
I watched a really good movie. It's called Mr.
Don't give away spoilers.
I'm
I'm
not
not
going.
going to. Mr.
Oh my God!
Something's phone. It's with Donald Sutherland on Netflix.
Oh my
What
God!
a good movie. You guys gotta watch it.
Get to see the trailer.
I can't remember the name of it.
Look it up.
Mr. Something Stone.
Anybody know the name?
of it?
No.
Oh,
James put my kid to bed.
What was that?
Noise.
That was a baby goat.
Okay.
It's a baby goat.
I was like, I'm really
I
confused.
don't know. I just, you know.
Now I understand, but I had to get into the mind of Pat for a second there.
Don't get into my.
Dangerous business.
Don't be going down that rabbit hole.
Dangerous. Dangerous.
Where maybe no you
Dangerous.
All right, so basically I'm done. Okay, so now I have the edges all tucked in the inside. And now I'm going to tuck it in right here. There we go. Yeah, so now that's going to dry. So basically, I find when you do, if you want a really, really, really impressive book and to be spooky, paint the whole thing black first. And then you go in. If you give me
Dry brush.
Yeah.
That's right.
it's Mod Podge and Mod Podge. Yeah. Okay. So basically, I painted this whole book black, and then you go in and you dry brush, and that's what gives you that really cool. Because actually, this really is sewn on, you know, to make it look like it's sewn on. Those are real stitches, guys. So there isn't anything that you cannot do with Mod Podge. Even the little beads, this is all attached, or it was attached, or did that. But anyway, it's supposed to be loosey-goosey anyway. But anyway, so there's no end to what you can't do. I mean, there's no limits to doing this Mod Podge. So basically, if you have any bubbles, don't do what I just did. Don't take your finger and do this, because what happens is as it's drying, it sticks to your finger, and that's when the rips. So, and again, I have like two little rips here. I don't know if you can see them. Right here and here. But I'm not even concerned about that because they're so tiny and so minute. But again, if I want to fix it, I just take a little piece of tissue paper and just Mod Podge over the area. It's on the spine, so I'm not really too concerned about it. It's on the corner of the spine, so it's really not going to show. Anyway, but still, once you paint it, it's not even going to show at all. That's what I love about this. This is like,
It's so forgiving.
it's idiot proof. It really is.
Just pass over.
It really is. It's just totally idiot proof. Now, see, like right here where it says Book of Shadows is starting to come through here. Once I paint that, that's not going to show. I'm not even concerned about any of that. That's like popping through there. So again, if you want to push out any air bubbles or push them down so they're closer, so you're less likely to have a tear, always wet the brush first. Don't just go in and just start dry brushing and tapping it down, because you will get a huge. I've actually done that and had the whole piece of tissue paper stuck pull off. Oh yeah, Mod Podge has gotten really expensive lately because I think so many people are staying home and doing arts and crafts and doing all these YouTube videos and everything. But it's just, I think
Mine's gonna drive before I can talk and do anything else.
containers like $30-something. It's ridiculous. You can actually make Mod Podge, and did you know that you can make chalk paint too? Chalk paint, all it basically is Mod Podge with baking soda in it. That's what chalk paint is, in case you guys didn't know that. Adding a little color to it. But that's what chalk paint is. It's just baking soda.
Just make it thicker with the
Yeah, the baking soda gives it that. So when you go, you can write on it like a chalkboard. So I watched a tutorial on YouTube today. I'm very crafty. I like everything. So
Okay. So this is
Hi,
dry
Julie. I know I'm goofy and funny looking.
before I can move on any further. It's fully covered.
Okay, so at this point, I'd like to, and you can do this now with your book even still wet. So basically, if you have any olive oil or any form of oil, but if you don't, again, essential oil's great, lavender oil is really great, sage oil's really great. And look, you get to play later and feel yourselves. It's so much fun. Oh, look at that thing. Ah! So anyway, I'm a kid. Let's see how. I just set a picture of my book. Oh, nice. Look, there it goes again. Ah! Okay. All right, that's my gluing tip for today. Just I'll get it up. So, give me that dragon's blood over there in the, in the red one at the bottom. Yeah. So this is really cool. This is actually dragon's blood. Okay. So this is, I didn't go out and kill a dragon, no way. But this is something that I would actually use. I do have a quill pen, or this would be something that I would use for specific, maybe for invoking the sun back in, because dragon, again, that's fire, and how it all works together. So, but anyway, this is one of the things that I actually would put in the book. So going back to the front of the book. So the front of the book, basically, I don't know what your belief is, and it does not matter to me. I am non-judgmental. In fact, I'm non-denomination myself. But I do work with God and Jesus, and that's who I work with. So I bless and consecrate this book in the name of Lord Jesus Christ, would be work for me. But you can do, I bless and consecrate this book in the name of love and light. Only good-hearted people, only good energy can ever touch this book. So basically, you're kind of doing like they did on Charm. You're putting kind of like good intent into the book, so nothing negative can come along and play with your stuff. So, anywho, another thing too, I wanted to point this out. Sigils. These are wonderful. These are the angel sigils. These are the 4 cardinal angels. If you watched my Creating a Sacred Circle, these are the 4 angels I call in. These are the sigils. You can create these sigils. They're so easy to draw. You can go online, and Uriel's to the north, Raphael is to the east, Michael is the south, and Gabriel is the west. These are wonderful protections, sigils to put in your book. So you could actually cut these out if you wanted to, or you could draw them yourself. The book shadows is usually hand drawn, but I do have stuff in my book that I printed off. And in fact, this is really cool page. I made these runes. Okay, there's actually 21 runes in all. There's more on the other page over here. Okay, but these runes, this is how I taught myself everything that I'm sharing with you guys today. This is how I taught myself, is by putting stuff in the book. One of the top things that you kind of want to put in the first couple pages of your book, besides the Wiccan read, is moon phases. Moon phases are wonderful. Moon phases tell you when you can do magic. For instance, if I wanted to send something, banish something from my life, maybe smoking cigarettes, a bad habit of mine, at the full moon, I would cast the spell to banish it from my life, because as the full moon wanes away, it takes the cravings with it, and it takes and helps to take that out of your life. Now, if you wanted to bring something to your life, you would probably do it during a new moon. And as the moon waxes and gets bigger through the full moon, there's an ebb and flow. There's a natural ebb and flow to everything in life. And you just gotta learn. Did you know that there's a certain time that you're only supposed to pick herbs? There's a certain time. It's usually at nighttime, not during the day. It's when they're at their magical peak. It's so crazy, but there's a timing, and everything has a timing, and you can learn, and you can get so deep into all this wicked stuff, or you can be kind of like us and just be willy-nilly with it, and all love and light. Exactly. I usually do, the spells and rituals I do are usually blessings and thankings. Thank you, God. You know, for breath in my chest and food on our table. It's looking okay. It's fun, Julie. Okay. So Shane, you got one. That's cool. Penny.
Okay, so
I am working on shoving clay into the actual mold. I'm just pushing it in and making sure there's no air bubbles. And then after I get it to the point where I feel like it's perfect, then I trim off the extra clay around the top, and then I bake this for 5 minutes.
And you bake it in a silicone mold? See, not many people know that. I didn't know that. I thought that you had to take it out of the mold and then bake it.
You can.
But I know the silicone doesn't cook.
Right. We're only cooking it as well for like 5 minutes or so, long enough. And if you cook it in the mold, now I have taken them out of the mold, like the skulls I take out of the mold, but you can cook them in the mold because we're not keeping it in there very long.
Right. Well, silicone, people bake with silicone.
Right. So you just want to make sure that you cut off like the unevenness around the actual shape. So you want to push hard enough that you can actually see the shape to the actual block. So you know where to.
Right. So you're going to know where to cut.
yeah. But
I mean, and again, these things are really delicate when you first get them out of the oven. You want to let it completely cool before you try to move it out of the mold, or it will stop. Because these are thin. So, I mean, it is easier if I wanted to try to pull it out of the mold sometimes. It depends on what you're working with and how you do it. I didn't bring many of my tools down, but I think I brought the little spatula screw.
And you have a
No. Use a knife. I brought one down, I thought.
You probably did. We have so much stuff around us right now. Okay, I can see what's going on with everybody here. Okay. You guys having fun?
What are we doing here?
Yeah. So I mean, essentially, we have to wait for the book to dry before we can do any more with the actual covers. So what I'm trying to do is work on the actual pieces that I'm going to glue to the book. In the meantime, and that's where this little lock thing is going to come in handy.
So basically,
Doing the cover of the book in the beginning, and you want to put like sigils or some form of protection on the book. That way, if you're printing for intent and stuff, why not take a few extra moments again and ensure that your stuff is being protected? You know, it's just, so this basically, this cotton ball here, was how I made my spider go. My spider box, the body of this, all I did was dip this in Mod Podge, and I took a piece of tissue paper and I wrapped it around it, set it on the box, and then put more tissue paper and kind of poked it underneath his belly so it looked like it was set up off the box. Penny, some things are best unseen. Not seen. Funny.
It always looks ugly at first in the beginning. Seriously, they look horrible at first. It takes layers to make it look good because we're gonna add paint. We're gonna add, you know what I mean? Like you gotta wait for the stages, so it's gonna look crappy at first. Trust me.
I'm not going to show you the inside of the book, but this is all Mod Podge. This is crazy. Look, this is actually, this whole thing now is just all Mod Podge. You see that? Those pages? They're all Mod Podge together. So this is one solid piece.
I took them out, and as you can see, now you can't really see it very well because it's a solid black. Do you have like a shadow luminescent silver or something?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, hang on 1 second, guys.
And that is going to show you, and I'll trim them afterwards. But so I put them in some sort of like baking dish like this, and then I'll go around the edges with like a knife or a razor
Probably
blade.
has enough on it, but
I want to put a finger
oh,
to show them. Okay.
Watch this. Hold that into
yeah. Okay. This way. Okay. Now watch what happens when she touches it with powder. And all
all
this
the delicate, but
Yeah.
look at the powder, how it brings up those details. And you can't really see it very well, but as well as I can show you guys.
But anyway, but
I'm just using
It's makeup.
eyeshadow.
We're just using makeup.
But you can use anything. You could use paint. Essentially, to get those.
a two-tone. I have one more.
Yeah.
So I can do the second one on my trunk.
And it doesn't take much, just a little fingertip.
Just like that.
Now I look like I have fairy dust on my nose.
Very,
I'm a fairy!
Oops.
I'm a pixie!
Let me wipe that off there.
I'm more of an elf type, but you know.
So much better.
I don't want to look like I just did something naughty in the other room.
Let me wipe that off for you. And I kept putting her on to her
Okay, show them these.
Okay. So there they are. That's all that powder does. Isn't that crazy? You just lightly touch them. Isn't that nuts? And then you throw them in the oven.
I just gonna carve around the extra clay with like a little knife. Which won't really take that long. I left my regular knife. I think it's thin enough. I want it to be more intricate. I usually use an X-Acto knife, but this will work. A regular kitchen knife if you have nothing else. But it's just going to be sharp enough that it cuts without morphing the shape.
So this is Lumi. The powder is called Lumi. Lumi. Boy, it's like driving me drunk here. Hang on. I can't get it. Come on. Lumi. There it is. Lumi. So, Shimmerista? Is that a word? Shimmerista? It is now. So hi everybody. Doing good?
Didn't somebody say they sent us a picture?
Oh yeah. Let me go look.
Did
You guys send me pictures? Probably.
I think it was just one.
Zap them over here. Hang on 1 second, guys. Ooh.
Ooh, so pretty. I love the cat. Is that a cat?
It looks like those cats that Hannah used to draw.
Yeah.
The book about them, and they were like a bunch of clans. There were a bunch of clans, cat clans. That's really cool.
I love
That's
drawing.
amazing. Yeah. That's beautiful. I can't share it, guys, because it's a video.
Yeah, no.
I will, actually, if you go over, you can get with this on my book of shadows and stuff.
Hello. Oh, look at that.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Right
Nice.
over there.
Yeah, let me go grab Sarah's Book of Shadows here real quick.
Let me get back into StreamYard so I can see you guys. All right, here we go.
It's just underneath.
Okay. So this is
Shara. Shara's. Shara. This is Shara.
Shara. This is Sarah's book of shadows. Can we move that? Oh, yeah, you do that. There you go.
All right.
All right, let me
So I've had this since I was about 8 years old.
yeah, fine.
And it actually has an adjustable spine. You can get bolts to add pages. This is a more expensive book because it's solid wood. Again, it's seen better days. The hinges are starting to wear on it. I really actually need to replace these hinges. And it's, again, a lot of child writing because I've had this since I was like 8 years old. And actually, this is a picture my brother drew me when I was a little kid. I don't know why I decided to keep it in there, but yeah, I actually bought gel pens, and I was so excited about all the colors in the gel pens, and that I got a new Book of Shadows, and I was going to use the gel pens in the Book of Shadows, and my brother decided that he was going to draw me a picture as the first thing in my Book of Shadows. So the very first page in my Book of Shadows is actually a picture that my brother drew me, so that's kind of funny. And that's from God. The 90s.
Yeah. Then you get the rooms.
The rooms in there, kind of. Mine's not really in order like yours is, but I got the Wiccan Reed here.
Yeah, go ahead and
Magic.
read them the Wiccan Reed. What I'll do is, with the Wiccan Reed over,
There we go. So, the
Wiccan Reed, and in her none do what I will.
That's not the whole.
Mind the Wiccan law, ye must in perfect love and perfect trust. 8 words the Wiccan Reed, fulfill any harm none, do as ye will.
Yeah, there you go.
So basically it's saying you can do whatever you want as long as you're not going against anybody's wills, and that's including causing harm to other people, including yourself.
Yeah.
So this is how I taught Sarah, is we would do things together, like for instance, the goddess moon, and then you have the god moon, which should take this and then turn it the other way.
Every lesson we did, we added a page to our book. So as we learned, we added something into our books.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
And then you get into the fancy pages.
Oh yeah.
Don't stop. This one can. These are just talking about. It looks evil, but it's just talking
It's
about.
talking about negative things and how to deal with negative things in your life.
Oh, that's the end of the page. It goes to Mabon. It goes there.
So at the end of the book, we have the Spats and the Sabbats, which is
complete.
the witch's wheel of the year. That and it begins, believe it or not, with Samhain, which is the witch's New Year, which is Halloween, as you know.
Did you show them the between this and how it?
Yeah. So yeah.
See through the page.
Yeah. So this actually is Baphomet. He's not a good dude. He's very negative and very bad. In fact, he didn't have his name up here. We do not worship him. We are not these people.
This is just a picture to represent.
This is how we teach ourselves to learn how to.
Right. You have to understand the dark when there is the light.
But if you look into the further of the book, this is a beautiful page that she did here. This is Hecate. Hecate is keeper of the crossroads. She's made of an throne in the moon phases. She's the keeper of witchcraft. She brings souls down to the underworld where they don't know where they need to be going, just to be kept until supposedly Judgment Day.
Anyways, stuff like that, guys. I mean, it's nothing specific. It's all mixed in mine, because mine again is from when I was a kid.
So basically, so this is the Grimoire, Book of Shadows here. magic history, biography, mystery, recipe, ecstasy, memory, prophecy, meditation, conservation, remembrance, ascendance, spells and charms, protection from harm, invocation, celebration, introspection, and reflection, blessed moon, sacred rune, seasons turn, candles burn, lessons learned, light returns, in my hand of right, by day and night, in shadow of flame, the one constant is change, recorded now forevermore, safe in the pages of the blessed grimoire. Okay, so that is like the grimoire blessing that I have there in the beginning of this. This explains the moon goddess, so basically this is kind of explaining Hecate a little bit here. The witch's way of life I have in here. These are certain rules that witches go by. So what is that your device where you start and update?
Just,
No, I don't want you to start and yet. Oh, wait. Okay. So anyway, and like I said, this is the runes. This is how I taught myself runes, is by playing with them and making them. Making holy water. That's one of the first things that I actually really put in this book, and that's the one thing I live by nowadays is making holy water.
We're actually getting to where we're going to want to end this
Yeah.
anyways, but
So I think we're
I'm going to pop this in the oven now, but to show them I cut it out.
more. So anyway, so this is ready to be popped in the oven. Sarah has cut it out now. So she's going to pop that in the oven for 10 minutes. And I think what we're going to do, guys, there we go. I kept you on here for, good God, about an hour and a half. I'm going to let you guys go.
And we will pick up once
But
the
we're
book
going
is
to pick up next week. We're going to do the witch's read on the inside of the book.
and finish.
Unless you want to put something else in there, feel free to find something else that you'd rather put in there. But do what you can. Bless some oil. I bless and consecrate this book with all that's holy under the sun. That's simple. Okay? And the area where you put the oil on, I usually put like a piece of tape over it or whatever, so it's just preserved into the book and it's not going to the other pages. So, but I usually do it on the cover of the book itself, on the inside cover. Okay. So yes, I will let you guys know. Basically, you're not gonna. I'm going to print the witch's read. I'm going to put it on our page, so you guys can actually print that off if you want to and get it ready, or you can go online and find a beautiful one. I'm going to show you what it is, and then you can go online and look for something that maybe might tickle your fancy a little bit more than what I'm going to actually put up. So
we can pick up right from here once these dry with our next session.
yeah. So these will be perfectly dry. So basically, if you want to go ahead after these dry, these will be perfectly dry tomorrow. If you want to go ahead and paint them, like I said, if you want it smoky, paint it black, and then go in with a dry brush white or a light gray, and that will give you that stone texture.
Leather, make it brown.
Yeah.
Start with a dark brown, then do a lighter brown over it. A lighter brown.
Exactly. You can't screw up the painting on it. You really can't,
If you
because
do, you just paint over and start over once it dries.
no matter what, look at an old book. An old book isn't perfect. If you look at it, the leather cover, it's withered and it's. That's what gives it character. That's what makes it yours. So have fun with this. Feel free to go ahead and paint the cover. I'm going to paint the cover on this one, okay? And get it ready for next class so we can actually go ahead and do the witch's read on the inside, okay?
And decorating the cover.
And decorating. We'll have our little lock to put on the cover, which we'll glue on.
But it really only took me 5 minutes to make these. I mean, this one's still not cut out yet, but I can make a new one to show them.
Right.
But look how easy. I just pushed it into the mold and then took it out and rubbed some makeup on my finger and lightly touched it. And those, when they're dry, are going to be hard as long as you don't smash them. You know, it's delicate and until you put it against the book. Once it's against the book, the only way to break it is to smash the cover of the book, which you're not going to do.
Right, or drop the book.
Right. But worst comes to worst, it breaks. You just take some clay,
Right.
you make a new one,
Right.
and
Just
slap
glue
it on,
Yeah.
you know.
That's
But
right.
I really love these.
But the more you Mod Podge it too, the Mod Podge, like I
It
said,
strengthens the clay.
it's so strong. It really, you saw what it did to that book,
You know?
So anyway, I'm going to say goodnight to y'all. Thank you all for hanging with us. I love this idea of doing a Book of Shadows with you guys. I love just hanging with my peeps. I love
Yeah.
you guys.
And
You
the
guys
more
are
we get
so,
into
so amazing.
this was the boring part,
Yeah.
honestly, because we're gonna
My
get
part's
into
really going to begin now, guys.
decorating. I'm gonna make some skulls.
So keep in mind, you find feathers, leaves, all of this you want to put in your Book of Shadows.
Go collect some fall leaves from outside and
Press
set
them in the
them
book.
and dry them so we can put them in your book.
Yep.
Another, see, this is what Mod Podge does. You pull it up and look, it takes my fingernail polish off with it. Damn it. So anyway, all right. Thanks for hanging, guys. I love y'all. And we'll see you
very
next time.
soon.
Have a
See
great
you very
night, guys.
soon.
Bye-bye.